Welcome to Bendy. Join your two favorite transatlantic weirdos, Andy from Ireland and Beth from the USA, as we take you on a journey through every topic imaginable, with insight, vulnerability, and fart jokes, or in other words, the complete human experience.
Hello and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible and all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young and I'm one of your melodramatic theatrical hosts. Joining me as always is our other melodramatic and theatrical host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always.
I like those. Good word for topic choice.
We're both wearing very dramatic colours.
We are. I know. I did dramatic eye makeup even. I thought about dressing up as Jack Sparrow, but then decided against it.
Ooh. And that would be great.
I know.
Yeah, we need to do a fancy... Well, we'll save our fancy dress episode for Halloween, right? But, I mean, we're both kind of really popping at the minute, guys. So this is why, you really need to see the video. It's really kind of a treat for the eyes.
It's true. How's it going, buddy?
As always. Not too bad.
You know what's funny? I was editing some of our episodes. Everyone starts with, hello! So Mike started being like, hello!
Because of me?
Because of you.
How dare he? Tell him I'm desperately offended.
It's like when you talk about like a wee lunch.
Yeah, that's true. And it's so funny because I just, we use it constantly all the time. I mean, I use it constantly around you as well, but it's only whenever I'm with, people from other countries, they're like, we. And I'm like, oh yeah,
it's the cutest, sweetest thing. I wish like was we, or we just don't have anything as adorable as...
It's the best.
It is. It's the sweetest. So
it's so multi-purpose as well. It's such flexible use out of it. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. So can I tell you the crack?
Yeah, please do.
So it's flooding in California, Southern California.
It surprises me that California floods, but yes. I know it's a big ass state.
I mean, we're also by the ocean, so
True.
We do get occasional tropical storms, but up in LA right now, which is like 2.5 hours north of me, I had to write this down. There, most of LA, Beverly Hills, and Hollywood have been evacuated.
What? Because of flooding?
8 trillion gallons of water.
Jeez Louise, that's mad for freaking LA.
Trillion, and guess it's heading our direction. So it's gonna.
Crazy.
It's supposed to start hitting. Well, really any minute, but it doesn't look like it out the window. So I know. So we're gonna have some heavy rains, and they're saying like hurricane level winds and all this stuff. So
madness.
I know.
Like we've been hit by a few storms, but they've already got. Well, most of the time they've got their worst out of them by the time they arrive with us, so it's never really too bad.
That's typically what happens too. But it's like yesterday I was getting all these texts from people that care. Except for Andy.
I mean, in fairness, this is all news to me. Hey, we've had big developments in the Northern Irish states recently, Beth, so that's all we're hearing about.
Actually, it made the news.
Did you even hear about it?
I did, and I read, and I was like, this is interesting, and then the article just went on and on and on, and then I was like, and then I started to snore a little bit. But it's very interesting, and I don't know if you want to talk politics, but
I don't think I want to talk politics, but I'd like to touch on it briefly. No, I don't want to. But we won't. Do we have any more flood chat before we move on? Because
I guess the only thing is I'm hoping that some air,
flood chat.
I'm leaving the doggy door open in hopes that I'll get some animals that are in need of a place to crash out.
Like surfing their way. Surfing their.
It's kind of like when it rains here. We're supposed to get an inch a day. So that's quite a bit, yeah.
That is quite a bit?
Yeah. So between now and Thursday? What's today, Monday? So yeah, 4 days worth of rain.
I mean, that's one of the things I think that even though people are like, oh, the weather over here is terrible, and it's not great, we don't get extremes, which is nice, I think, in a lot of ways. There's a lot to be said for that.
And I would say yeah, we do. We get fires and we get... There's a James Taylor song in here somewhere about fires and rains, but yeah, we get them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I still remember, so, was it like 2 years ago? No, it was me last year, whenever, like, you were sending me videos, and it was like, your background was hell. It was just like smoke
Yes.
and
Yeah.
O-rings glowing. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Whenever the fires were really kicking off, it was wild. But
That air quality index was like 815, which I don't even know what that means, but normally it's like 15. So
I think you're right, yeah.
It was bad. It was bad. And there was like ash raining down all over the cars and everything, and yeah, it was nuts. It was nuts. And that was Oregon.
Yeah.
Those are the Oregon
Crazy.
fires.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. Yeah.
like here we
Absolutely
have
insane.
there's a mountain behind our house, and they'll sleep. Firefighters sleep up there, like in the fire season.
Yes.
Kind of like I always think of it like Lord of the Rings, where they have like the fire lit on this mountain, and then they signal the next mountain, and then they call all the people, and that's kind of what
So
it's
you know,
like.
do you know how I know about that sort of thing?
How?
From a video game, classic Andy. There is actually a video game called Firewatch, where you're this guy who for the summer has been sent to this tower to kind of keep an eye open for fires, and then like this kind of mystery.
Can you say fire tower?
Fire tower?
Yeah. So when I lived in Kentucky,
Fire tower.
you would say fartar.
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 Amazing.
So, sorry. Very interesting about your video game.
Isn't it? I know, it's so interesting. Get more video game chat from Andy. Everybody loves it. So I should have put my chapstick on before the recording, but I didn't know how to bring it on.
It's fine.
Gotta keep these babies in shape. Okay. So. Always take care of your lips, people. All right, it's a wee PSA from Andy. Okay. Right. Okay. So my crack, and I guess my country's crack, for better or for worse, is that we have a functioning government for the first time in 2 years. Woohoo!
Yay!
And,
in 2 years.
Yep.
Is it because of Brexit? No, that was.
No, yes, it is. It is. So it's basically whenever because Brexit was a while ago. Sorry, where are you going?
Well, it's just funny that like. You have a government that worked 2 years ago.
I know. Yes, it's true.
What's that like?
Yeah. Oh, it's not good.
No.
It's not good. So basically, so Brexit was what, I don't know, 6 years ago. I'm sure people are screaming at me now. A while ago now. I don't really remember.
Sometime on the timeline.
Ago. But once there was a kind of an actual agreement, once like the UK had finally figured out what that shape it was going to take. It was a lot of things in there that made the Northern Irish government unhappy, and basically there was a something set up that would allow us to almost be like a kind of a connective sort of place between like Ireland and therefore Europe and the UK, which would have been great for business, great for probably the people here, blah blah blah, but it meant that we would get a slightly different Brexit from the mainland UK. And our politicians were like, we're not standing for that, essentially. And then they have refused to govern for 2 years.
Okay, so they're getting paid.
Yes.
To not do their jobs.
Correct.
How do we do that? I mean, I guess we're doing it right now, but I mean, we're doing our jobs and we're not getting paid, right? I don't think of this as a job. I think of it as like Laugh Factory, but.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, like, I was thinking about that today, like other things like yoga, dog walks. A lot of the time I'm like, oh, okay, I'm doing that, but I do not think about that for this. I'm like, hooray, get a podcast later. Woo!
Right.
So.
Good answer.
Yes, you passed the test. But the other thing as well is that it's the first time, I might get this wrong. I hope I should be reading this, but we have a nationalist. What are they called? First minister, kind of. So our sort of the person that's in charge of the government here is nationalist, as in they represent the unionism broadly represents the Protestant sort of the community in Northern Ireland, like as in the invaders,
Okay.
I guess, and the nationalist represents the Catholic community, which is like so broadly speaking, the people who are more connected with Ireland and trace their roots from there and etc. etc. So mostly it has been so that's really interesting too, and that's kind of history making.
What's the name of the political parties? Is it Seinfeld?
Oh, Sinn Féin.
Sinn Féin. See, I
And
have
yes,
been reading up on this because I
yeah,
saw it
absolutely.
was like Northern Ireland, and I'm like, what?
I know it's how rare are we ever news story.
It's
but like
true.
yeah, but it's good. I mean, like it's good that we have a government. Like remain to be seen whether they'll actually get stuff done because it's been terrible. Because like we haven't had, because we haven't had a functioning government. Like the roads are going to shit, schools need money. Hospitals need money, and they have none of these things have been approved. Like one of the schools I do pet therapy with, they were waiting to see whether they would get a new status that allowed them to stay open, but because there has been no government, it hasn't been able to happen. That school, unfortunately, is going to be closing later this year. I know. So yeah, I'm not going to stay on this subject too long because
Okay.
I don't want to talk politics for too
No,
long.
no. We don't talk religion or politics.
No. But that's not the only crack. The other crack is that I went to a friend's 40th birthday party at the weekend.
Happy birthday, Andy's friend.
Yeah.
Welcome
it was
to
amazing.
your 40s.
Exactly. Oh, I know. Godspeed. Her other half, he organises festivals and things like that. So he basically made a music festival for her, and that was her birthday party.
That's adorable.
It was so good. So nice. It was such a nice setup. They really, it was lovely, and it was just nice going to something like that. It was just a lovely idea for a party. So yeah, it's great stuff.
Yeah, none of my friends have parties like that.
Really?
No.
You have to come to one of my parties sometime, Beth. I have pretty good parties sometimes. Sometimes.
Uh-huh.
We'll make it happen.
Uh-huh. Speaking of which.
Speaking of which, yeah, that's true. Okay, wait, what?
I'm coming to see you.
Oh yeah, that news. Oh yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So I booked. I don't know why, but like through our whatever credit card frequent flyer miles, I got into Heathrow and out of Heathrow for like $130.
Oh, so I thought that was just a connecting flight. That's your flight from like California to Heathrow?
Yeah, from
wow,
LA.
That's nuts. Yeah, that's
know.
amazing.
I know. I could spend that like taking the kids to the movie. Instead, I'm gonna like spend a couple days in London and then, which you're welcome to join me there too. But
yeah, if I have the money, absolutely.
Okay. I talked to a couple of our friends and they were like, "Yes, I want to see you." So you're gonna miss out on a mini yoga reunion if you.
Oh yeah.
I
Okay.
know. Okay. Well, I'll send you all the information. But if anyone wants to join our Patreon, this is gonna go towards this trip and us hanging out in person instead of across the ocean in the same time zone, which is weird because it's dinner time where you are, and it's past dinner time.
I've just having dinner. But it'd be dinner time for some people. Yeah.
What time? It's like what, like not 9, 8:30?
No. It's like just after 7.
Oh, okay, that's quite nice.
Yeah,
we eat early because children.
Oh, that's true.
I'm just like, stop talking. Put food in your mouth.
Yeah. keep eating.
Right. So, anything else on crack?
I don't think so. I think we can go on to what's occurring. So what's occurring with you? Or what's occurring with us?
I got a really sweet note from someone who I can't remember. This might have been through LinkedIn or on LinkedIn. I don't know why. Apparently, to get to hear this one message from this one person, but this goes back to our conversation in episode whatever about professional cuddling.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I was a health aide, and one day I looked at my lady I took care of daily. I asked her when was the last time she was hugged, and she began to cry. I hugged her and I squeezed her until she became embarrassed. After that day, I made sure to hug her every day.
That's lovely.
I know. And I sent her a message back and I just said, I wonder how many people would have a similar reaction to that.
Yeah.
So, just gonna put the PSA out there. Do you guys have public service announcements?
We do. Yeah, sort of.
PSA. The more you
Yeah.
know. Okay. Hug someone or ask them if they need a hug, or ask them when the last time they had a hug was, because I just think there is an epidemic of not enough hugs.
I agree completely.
So,
I agree completely with that.
I know. So I'm just throwing that out there. Um, I also have added more merch to the shop. The actual turnip, Halloween turnip. I did a little creative licensing on, and so we have a new T-shirt with the actual turnip face. It looks horrible and terrifying, and it says "What's a crack?" So you could be the proud owner of that if you just go to bendypodcast.com and check out all this. I'm like, check the website out because there's always new stuff. Is all I'm going to say.
Yes, and like really, we're hopefully we'll get at the stage where essentially you can wear a different turnip shirt every day of the week is the long term.
Oh my God, you just reminded me of something.
Uh-huh.
I took Spanish in college, and I had a Spanish teacher, and he had 5 shirts. So for 3 months, on Mondays he wore this shirt, Tuesdays he wore this shirt, with the same shirt for every day of the week.
Wow.
It drove me insane.
I mean, I suppose maybe it's just like a uniform and that's his work stuff, and
he just didn't give a shit, or he couldn't. Yeah, I just, or maybe he was like neurologically atypical like me, but
that's also possible. And like he just goes home, whips the shirt off at the end of the day, puts on his AC/DC shirt.
Yeah, sitting in
for the night, the holes in it. Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
That's my husband.
It's also
garage
me
shirt
in a lot of
that's
ways.
like sitting by the garage door, and then his like after garage shirt that's sitting next to the garage shirt.
That's a good system.
I'm like, dude, when was the last time you washed it? He's like, doesn't matter.
It doesn't need washed.
No, he comes in and he always looks like an orphan who's been like chimney sweeping. He has a problem with cars.
I mean, like, I've even, whenever I was over visiting you, and Mike was on the phone, cars. I love it.
He was like, you're going to Europe? I may need to, you might need to, like, it's really hard to get, because he loves obscure European vehicles, and it's harder to get parts out here, right? Because they only imported a certain amount.
Yep.
So I was like, if you need me to schlep car parts back to the U.S., I will do that. He's like, okay,
nice.
I'll let you know. So
yeah. Why not? Absolutely. That's just going to be, you're going to need like an extra bag on the way back home.
Yeah. I've traveled with weirder.
yeah, I'll bet.
Do you have any occurring?
I was like literally just looking. I got it's one of my friends. I'm gonna keep quoting. Is that like he said, because we talked on the previous episode, we were talking about movies, and we were talking about Blade Runner, and I was saying how I never really got on with it in a big way. Like, and it always kind of made me sad. I think my expectations were raised so high they couldn't have ever possibly made it. But he said that like the critical consensus on Blade Runner is kind of like starting to turn in that movie anyway. It's he felt the same thing, was that he saw it when he was young, and he feels like that's the best thing to see it because it's more of a vibes movie. If you try to like really examine it or like really kind of follow the story, it kind of falls apart pretty quickly. But
it's definitely, like, the more I think about it, the more I'm kind of like meh. Although the new Dune, have you watched part 1?
Yes.
And part 2 comes out March 1st. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Too.
And I like love the original.
Yeah.
Which is also one it's just weird.
Oh,
it's weird. What?
You mean the David Lynch one? The one from the 80s?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's wild.
It is wild. It's like, put your hand in the box.
Fear
is a mind killer.
It is. Oh, it's great. Have you seen the I think it's Jodorowsky's Dune, the documentary about like...
No.
So there's like this really kind of avant-garde filmmaker called, I think it's Alejandro Jodorowsky, and he was going to make this version of Dune that didn't happen. It eventually led to the Lynch version, but like the amount of incredible like talent that he had. That he thought it was going to be part of that film. He had asked Salvador Dali to be in the movie. Geiger did
Oh,
concept art. It's
aliens.
such a cool
Ugh.
movie. But like they animate
Like
some of the
those are like my
sequences.
two favorite artists.
Like, have a look. I think it's
Yeah.
just called Jodorowsky's Dune. But like,
Okay.
check that out. You'll like that. I think
Yeah.
I'll send it to you afterwards.
Okay. There's
Anyway.
my other favorite artist is Storm Thornton. I have to reach into my mind palace. Someone tell me. He's the guy that does all the Pink Floyd covers.
Oh yes.
And
yes, I
like
know who
they're
you mean.
all real pictures. Those are all things that he staged and set up. It's like a field of beds. It's like
Hi, interesting.
women's bodies painted with all of the different albums. Have you seen the one? And it's like Storm Thorgerson, I think. Someone correct me. But it's I can't remember for which album or if it was just like a promo. But it's a tree, but it's the outline of a face.
Okay.
And it's the coolest thing. And I was like, how did they do that? And I Googled it, and they actually hung a guy from a helicopter upside down with a chainsaw.
Wow.
And like he just like went around and cut this tree to look like a face. So
That sounds like the recipe for death. Like,
I'm
right
just
there.
like, why can't I get a job like that?
I know.
I need to know more artists.
There was my friend sent me another. This is another occurrence. This is going to be another tangent. Then we'll move on. I promise.
Oh
to
yeah,
our actual
yeah,
topic.
whatever.
But
Maybe if you're lucky.
maybe
people.
we'll think about it. But there's one of the guys. I don't know if you've heard of Rubber Bandits. They're like a sort of alternative, like Irish music group. I'll say they wear like plastic bags in their head. That's a whole
fabulous.
interesting thing.
Okay.
So one of them. I hadn't really heard much from him. I didn't really know much about one of them. One of them, he has a podcast and stuff. The other one, I didn't know much about. And then somebody sent me a video of him making a rowboat shaped like, I've forgotten his name now. What do you call the guy that owns Amazon? Bezos.
Jeff Bezos.
So he made a rowboat that looked like Jeff Bezos' face. It's the most ridiculous thing, but it's incredible. Like the amount of work he puts into it, and he kind of knows it's ridiculous, but like he's still like it's really funny. So it's that's worth checking out. Bobby Fingers is his name.
Fingers.
Yeah, I definitely recommend checking out it's like a 20-minute video of him making how he made this Jeff Bezos rowboat. It's ridiculous, but it's great fun.
Okay, find it and I'll post it.
I will. Okay.
I love it.
Perfect.
Okay.
And I think
Go
this
ahead.
is a good segue, right? I was going to say this is a good segue to the madness that we're going to talk about. Because,
Yes.
that sounds like a lot of drama, right?
Right.
So, therefore, we're getting on to this week's topic, which is Drama Club?
Drama Club.
Question mark?
Drama Club.
Where we're just going to talk about Drama Club. Where we're just going to talk about kind of our experiences. Because, I think even not having sort of the option of theatre whenever I was young, I think we're probably both like theatre kids in a lot of ways. So we both have like different experiences of like doing stuff on stage and things like that. And we just wanted to talk a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm. And I think the reason we're so good at this podcast, it's probably because we have theater background.
It's a masterclass.
Uh-huh.
in podcasting. Wink.
Wink.
Beth, if we keep saying things like that, they'll believe it eventually.
I know it's true. So will we.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
That's true. We'll get there eventually.
I have questions.
Yep.
So when did you first get on stage, and like when did you first like fall in love with theater?
So early on, I would have went. So one of it would have been my earliest memory certainly would be in my teenage years. So I think I was maybe 16 or 17, and whenever I was younger, my school would have done a musical every year. Mm-hmm. Sadly, now I go to that school. I do pet therapy there, and they've stopped doing that, and they kind of missed that. But they have other options. They have like drama club and things like that now. So I did. We did Annie Get Your Gun that year. I was Charlie Utter, I think, he's a character in Deadwood. Anyway, I'm gonna go off on a tangent unless I stay
I love
focused
it.
here.
No, it's fine.
And I had the opening song, which is a solo by myself, and I still remember not messing it up one night. I think I did fine most of the time, but I still remember like messing it up one night, and but it was a really incredible experience. It was great fun to do. It was just like I love the camaraderie of it. But I kind of didn't go anywhere after that. But that was the first thing that that kind of springs to mind. I remember like we had like talent shows and things like that, and I remember us doing in the jungle, the quiet jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. What's the name of that song?
The Lion Sleeps Tonight, I believe.
I think it could be right, yeah. And that was good. That was good fun as well. But it's Annie Get Your Gun is what really kind of sticks in my head, and that really kind of lit something in me that I really took me years to fully kind of embrace and really start doing stuff with it. But it definitely spoke to me in a big way. What about you?
I was I don't know if I was lucky, but there was a theater right by our house, and they had they had classes from first grade all the way through high school. And so for like summer fun, my mom signed me up for theater classes in fourth grade. And so every summer I would go back to this theater camp. And I think I went all the way through probably might have even been freshman year of high school. So grade 12, so 6 years probably. And then, so I learned how to clown. I learned how to write a play. I learned how to mime.
Nice.
I'm showing Andy right now and those on the Patreon. Yeah, I can do the box. I can do the ladder.
It's masterful work.
I know, thank you. I'll sign autographs later, but yeah. So I learned how to do improv. I really learned how to say yes. I learned how to say yes, which is huge. And then we would do a performance at the end of the summer for the parents. And then
So what age did you start this again? Sorry,
So I was probably grade 4, so I was probably 10 or 11.
Okay.
And then I actually got cast in an actual production at the theater. Awesome. So that was I think I got paid, not much, but something, right? Still, and people went and bought tickets, and it was a real thing. I was on the marquee, not me, but me and a bunch of other kids. Yeah. And it was a movie, or not a movie. It was a play about evolution.
Oh, interesting! Wow.
So, controversial also.
Yes, it's true.
And then I was in band also, in school, and so I remember after my freshman year, I don't know, the girls were kind of catty, and I was just fuck this shit, man. Yeah. I want to go hang out I want to be a theater kid. And I remember quitting my band class, and my teacher was super pissed, and read me the riot act. My mom wrote him a letter, and it was a whole thing. And then I walked into the theater, signed up for classes, and then I'm sorry, I'm really talking a lot.
No, you're not. It's interesting.
I did, I think I did a bunch of plays, which I can get into a little bit later, but I also did sort of all sides of theater. So I was stage manager, I was assistant director, I learned how to, do lighting and all that kind of stuff. So I learned everything about how you actually put on a show. Both, backstage and on stage. So it was pretty cool. And
that's great.
It cured me of my fear of public speaking, obviously.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That was a long answer.
It's not. No, it was interesting, and I kind of want to dig into more of it, but we can kind of take them one at a time. It's interesting you talking about the public speaking though, because I have a memory of I did business studies, which is and as an A level essentially, I don't know if you know how it works like structurally for like schools over here, but we only have two schools. We have like a primary or an elementary school, and then we have high school or grammar school, it would be called. Um,
How old are you when you go to high school?
I want to say 11 or 12, I think. I can't remember. I think that sounds right. I think it's about 11, 12. And because you leave there when you're 18, you're there for about 7 years. So that'll be about right.
Okay.
Um, there's not a ton. Oh, yeah, sorry. I was talking about, I know. I was talking about business studies. That's what got me onto this.
Okay.
Um, so whenever we do our like we with whenever you go to like high school, you can do 5 years and then you can move to somewhere where you can do like vocational stuff. So you could do like electrician, mechanic, so on and so
That's
forth.
very
Or
useful.
right, or you can stay in school and you can do A levels. And A levels you kind of like get to specify target what you're studying. So I did history, English, and business studies, which is just I really wanted to do computers, but like my school really did not have anything like that at that stage. We had barely had IT at that stage, so those were my options really. And as part of business studies, we had to like put together run a company type of thing, and we had to go to this big group where all schools were together talking about their companies, what they did, and part of that was public speaking. So I still to this day remember standing on stage and the sheer terror of like speaking to like 40 or 50 people. But like, then you thought about it afterwards and you were sitting there and other people were talking and you weren't even paying attention. So I mean, like, nobody gave a shit. I went through it and it was fine, but like that was about that. And a little bit, there was like a debate club, and I remember it being not a good way to kind of think about things and like get me talking, so that was
Were you
another sort
in
of
debate club?
useful. Yeah.
I could not. I, I can't debate. I just can't.
I think I was really bad at it back then. I think I could probably do a better job now, but I have no real interest in debating
I
stuff
don't like
anyway.
just debating for debating's sake. Just it makes me want to like
Eh, like,
hammer a nail into my foot.
I hear you. And I mean, like, the amount of people that whenever somebody wants to debate something, it's not really that they want to debate it. They've got a point of view that they want to impress on you, and that's kind of it. So I don't really have a lot of time for that.
Right.
But but yeah, so I mean, like, so that was kind of it in terms of my high school experience. I don't think there was a ton. I mean, I don't know, but like, I don't think there was a ton of other sort of drama stuff offered. Certainly locally for me, unfortunately, there wasn't many outlets, and even talking to kids these days, it seems like they have to go further afield. They have to go to Belfast or wherever. Do you know what I mean? To kind of actually scratch that itch. I mean, we don't even have a somewhere for them to perform locally where I live, which sucks, it really does. I think that's starting to change, and I know there are small places that are kind of helping out with that, and it's part of some of the stuff that I'm doing as well to try to like make that blossom.
Yeah. I mean,
But
I was a humanities major, and like not having the humanities available to people, which is like, art and history and, all of the things that make us human all sort of combined together
yeah,
is a travesty. It's a travesty.
I hear you.
I would
Yeah,
not be the same person had I not been in theater.
yeah, I think it really, yeah. And so yeah, but I want, well, I have a few questions I kind of want to delve into a little bit more, which was, can you talk a little bit about clowning?
Yes.
Okay.
So, it's actually you can actually go to clown college.
I actually know people who have done some clown training here as well, a little bit,
I
yeah.
Yeah. So I have a not a friend but a person I went to school with that did, I think Barnum and Bailey had a clown college, and he actually
Mm-hmm.
went and did that.
Ooh.
So it's a lot of like physical comedy. So you learn how to like, tweak someone's nose or fall, or like, sometimes you'll wear the costumes and like someone will step on your clown foot and you have to know how to react, and all those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm. I like
So
it.
really, like, it
It's
was very much tiny clown college.
it's kind of making me think of, did you ever see Baskets, the Zach Galifianakis show where he was like he was trained as a clown, but he was trained as like a French clown, and he comes back to the US trying to do his French clown arts, and nobody wants that. They just want like proper. It's a really fun idea.
That's good. I've only seen. You know what I saw of him the other day was outtakes of Between Two Ferns.
Oh, so good.
So good. The outtakes are like, the show is
They're
wonderful. The outtakes are the best.
I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, it was definitely like learn how to be a clown, if that's the direction you want to go. But really, it's like physical comedy is hard to do.
That's true.
Like
it
moving
is.
your body in a way that makes people laugh without kicking someone in the balls or whatever.
It's true.
So
it's true. That's the easy road. I mean, like
Great.
it was something I was reflecting on, and I told you about Panto before and how it's very difficult for me to explain, but like there was the actors that we in the Panto that we saw around Christmas there were just so good at that, just moving their bodies in a way that was hilarious. Like there was one of the characters who was just performing hesitation just by moving back and forth, and it was brilliant. It was so good, so good. But I think clowning, I think like improv and things like that, I think one of the really useful skills they teach you is how to deal with like embarrassment or things that would, normally make you embarrassed. And it's like, it's not that big a deal really, once you've kind of done it a few times.
So for our audience that doesn't necessarily know the difference between theater and improv, do you want to kind of go into the difference between the two? Because I think you have more experience with improv than I do.
That's true. So I think just to set the stage for that a little bit, I started improv about 5 or 6 years ago. I haven't done anything with it over the past 2 or 3 years. I think COVID really kind of was a death knell for a lot of improv, and then I just, for whatever reason, didn't end up going back to it. But anyway, I digress. Improv is very much exactly what it sounds like. It's improvisation. It is the formats change wildly. I have done a number of different formats, but you're largely going on completely unprepared. And honestly, one of my favorite things about improv is I have to do like zero work ahead of time. I could just go there and do it. It's amazing. So like I mean, so the big difference with theater, it's rehearsed, it's blocked properly, it is lit properly, all of those things. Whereas, with us, it's just like go on stage, get some sort of ridiculous suggestion from the crowd, and go from there, basically. But, like, I mean, and I think that, like, improv is mortifying sometimes. It's awful, but I think that whenever it works, it's kind of magical. And
like when it hits and when it hits and everyone roars with laughter, and you get like that feeling from the audience where you're just like totally feeding off the energy off each other, not in like a succubus kind of way, but like the best 100%. Yeah.
And I've definitely had it's callbacks, and it's just using your brain at times and just kind of like accessing things, and like and leaning into like interesting specifics can really make something sing. And like whenever you find that, and it's just it's such a rush, it's really nice. And because, like, as I say, you're making something out of nothing, it's very satisfying. But also on the flip side of that, it is also a great teacher whenever you die on stage and you get no reaction whatsoever. It's kind of useful to do that. I mean, it's like I want to start reading poetry more in a live setting, and I see poets rather read poems to silence, and I'm like, improv is going to be the perfect the perfect training for this.
It's true, and like we did improv more for like warm-ups before plays.
Yeah.
So we would all stand in a circle and, be like, yes, and you point to someone and they've got to come up with whatever, it's a for those that don't know, it's an improv game. You have to be there to know.
Would you do things like zip zap zop and things like that?
We would do zip zap zop. But it was definitely a way to get everybody connected, to get the synapses firing, and it's also a tool, I think, for when you forget your lines.
Yeah,
If you're on script and you forget like what the fuck you're supposed to talk about, that's what improv is also for, is to
so
like,
true.
okay, I don't know what I'm supposed to be saying right now, so I'm going to just make it up and then hope that someone in the cast like picks up that I don't know what I'm doing and fixes it, right? So it's I'll say like on script is also mortifying.
Oh, I'd imagine so. I mean, I suppose I have had in that production I did have lines, but that's the only time I've had lines, and trying to remember that stuff is hard going, truly hard going.
Yeah.
Like I left out a whole verse of the song one time because I just was like, I can't remember how this starts, and it's just like dancing back and forth as the music played, and I'm waiting for the next verse that I did know, you know.
That's so fun.
It is. Do you know, so there is apparently a VHS of my production out there somewhere that my like one group of my friends in particular is like their holy grail. They're desperate to find it.
I have some of mine too on VHS. Yeah.
Nice.
So my first like, oh, you got cast in the play and your name is on the list after I did, because I did Henry the whatever, Henry the Eighth,
Yeah.
the St. Crispin's
Shakespeare.
Day speech.
Oh.
Yeah. So I played a male
Ooh.
king, and I think
Nice.
yeah. So I, as a sophomore, I got
Mm-hmm.
into Hamlet, and I was, wait for this. I was guard two and courtier
Nice.
two.
Not even guard one and
No,
courtier
no,
one.
a
Wow.
guard
The
number two.
indignity.
Are you ready for my two lines?
Mm-hmm.
I, my lord. I, my lord.
Wow.
I know.
Really?
I was
That's
so excited.
bullshit.
But
That's
like,
bullshit.
I know. But I did learn like in that show, it was like probably my favorite production I ever did. And I learned how to cry on cue.
Ooh, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
I can do that anyway. It's just a natural ability.
I know. I just talk about puppies.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, it's like, and I think, and it's something that did I partially regretful not doing more of it, but then there's not a ton of opportunities for it here, and not something I sought out. And I think that, you know, post um school experience, there wasn't much opportunity. Like I think, you know, I had always kind of would, and I had people talk about like singing in a band and things like that, but nothing really ever came to it. And I think I got, certainly most of my 20s were spent being very in my own head about that sort of stuff and not wanting to like put myself out there, you know. So it took me a while to kind of get past that. And I think
How
also then,
how did you get the gumption or bravery to like step into an improv class? Because improv
uh
is freaking scary
yeah, so it was a
and lovely, but
yes, it is. I agree. So I think there are two things. Whenever I so my the girl I was dating at the time, she took a year away. I had a lot of free time in my hands. I was always keen, like it was something that I kind of, I was like, I like to do night classes and stuff anyway, and I wanted to engage with something. And I think I've said to you before, I like doing things that scare me. I think it's kind of good for me. I like really getting out of my comfort zone. Um, and nothing terrified me more than improv, honestly, in that regard. So I was like, let's give it a go. And it was great. I still remember, there is probably, my first improv show is probably on YouTube somewhere. I wonder if I can find it. That's interesting. I
I'll
must see if I
find
can dig
it.
it out.
I can
Yeah.
find anything about
I believe you.
anyone.
I'm pretty certain it is. And like some of the stuff in there was not bad, but some of it was terrible. But I remember how terrified we all were because it was our first time doing it in front of a crowd. But like I have since then done a ton of other stuff, and it's not as, I don't really care anymore. And I mean, you know, I think I've said, I don't know if I've expressed this to you before, but it's like my feeling on improv it's become, you know, if you were to give me a choice between like getting up on stage to do like a half hour one man improv or have a one-on-one conversation with a stranger. It'll be like, show me the stage. Get me on stage here right now. You know?
Yeah.
Which is, you know, a damning indictment in some ways, you know, but, yeah.
You want it to be all about you.
I do, that's true. Just come on stage and a single spotlight.
And you'll
Where's my light?
Right.
I need to find my light.
Find my light.
But you know, so I mean, you know, and I did that. I also did what was it? Jiu-jitsu as well, but
Oh, really?
Jiu-jitsu didn't take. I did it, or I can't remember. It was some sort of martial art, and I did that for them both just because I needed to take my mind off the other stuff, you know. So I was like, let's throw myself into stuff, and that stuff kind of faded away pretty quickly after a month or so. But the improv stuck for about 3 or 4 years.
Do you still stay in contact with people that you met through improv?
A few, yeah, not everyone. Yeah, some interesting stories from all of that, because like the improv scene is kind of a bit wild and nuts, you know, as you can imagine. Stories that I don't think I could share, but like so like even I do see people, and I'm still like kind of close with some of them, and there's one person in particular, and we've written together a little bit and done some other sort of projects together, but she's the only one I'm in contact with in any sort of major way. Other ones, you know, social media, things like that, I've got a wee bit of connection, but like the vast majority have moved on from improv anyway. What was so interesting about improv in this country generally was that a lot of the people that were there were not native to Northern Ireland. They were like foreign students.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I mean, like, I think, you know, that's a really, I mean, like, I think for them, talking to some of them, they like the idea of the challenge of improvising in English. Yeah, they thought it would be a real kind of test for their English, which absolutely it is.
There's no way I would do improv in another language and like try that.
And some of them were freaking great as well. Do you know what I mean? It was nuts. But it was such a wee sort of, you know, melting pot of people, you know, from all over, and it was and it's exactly what I want, is just like, you know, people from all sort of different backgrounds in together. That's always really interesting to me. Mm-hmm. So it was a good group of folks.
So what's the worst thing that ever happened to you on stage?
If
you want to,
do you have an answer for that?
I do.
Think about it.
If you want to think on it. So I was in it was like student written plays when I was in college, my freshman year, and so they were student written, student directed, and each play they cast 2 people, and so it was me and this other dude, and like memorize lines. It was weird. It wasn't like the material. It kind of like I don't know. It was like gross dude stuff, like masturbation and like, you know, whatever. And I had to like be part of it and whatever. You know, I was young and dumb, and it was fine. I was like, I got cast, right? Yeah. I got to keep all my clothes on, so woohoo!
That's good. Yeah, it's bonus.
My co-actor, or whatever you call it, like forgot a performance. Mm-hmm. And
forgot to arrive.
Yeah, and I called like 20 minutes before curtain, and I was like, "Where are you?" And he's like, "Oh my god, I totally forgot," and shows up higher than anyone I've ever seen before. So I was just like, great, I know I'm going to have to carry this whole show. He doesn't remember his lines. He's so, like, everyone in the audience could tell he was so fucking baked. It was awful. It was mortifying. I'm, like, saying his lines and my lines, and he's just, like, basically, like, catatonic. So bad. And then someone else got, in another play, you know, you have those, like, fake swords for, like, sword fighting. They got cut pretty badly with a fake sword. I was like waiting on stage and like trying to like act his way through it or whatever. So
I think it's like, you know, it's tough, you know, you're talking about what the first play you were talking about, the subject matter and things like that, and I think about, you know, really writing a play, being a good writer is kind of, it's it's good in terms of, what the quality of the project, but like it doesn't really matter as long as you kind of get something down. You're probably going to be able to get some people to perform it for you.
I'm raising my hand, and I'm not saying masturbation's bad, and like it's not gross dude stuff. It was just like I didn't really want to act in that play, and I didn't really have an opportunity to say no. So it was just here's what you get. So
and I kind of I think I know the sort of project you're talking about. We're just like it is a very sort of I guess teenage early 20s sort of boy fixation stuff.
Totally. And I was just like, this is what you chose to write about, like of all of the topics that you could write about, where you actually get to write and direct your own play.
It's like this is what's meaningful to me.
Yeah,
come work. Yeah,
I know, right? Not to say that I know what I would write about, but I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's always kind of reassuring, but like I guess it probably would be. I was kind of thinking about it there. I think it would be that time in my musical when I kind of forgot an entire verse. I still have a memory of that, like standing there in silence. Do
you go there sometimes?
I don't, only when I really activate. I mean, that's not something that like is seared in my brain in that way. Good. But like, if I can kind of like, I'm not mortified by the memory anymore. I'm kind of like, whatever, it's something that happens, But I do still remember how embarrassed I felt then, and like how bad, and like I'm a wild one for like beat myself up about stuff afterwards, and I definitely remember doing that in this case. But again, in recent years, I remember doing a improv show in Dublin, and it was awful. And I don't think we got a single laugh, any of us, and it was horrifying. I still remember, but like that stage, I just didn't really give a shit anymore. I just was like, whatever.
Yeah. It's like, am I having fun? Yes. So, yeah.
And I can now say I'm an international improviser and things like that,
Did people pay to get in to see you?
They did.
And you are a paid actor.
That's true. No, I didn't get paid, but it's the classic improv financing where improvisers get paid experience,
Right.
So, but it's no, but like it was. There's part of me wants to go back, but I don't really know if I want to start again because I kind of wish I had went back at a time when there were still people I knew that were up doing it, and there are some, but yeah.
What's the worst thing that could happen if you went back?
That's a good question. I don't know. Like it's maybe just partially because with me, like I kind of get to a stage where I'm like, yeah, I've done that. I got what I needed from it, and I'm kind of ready to use it. Maybe
I'm no longer afraid of it.
Nah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Because I think that if an opportunity came up or somebody was like, so whenever I was in New York, about 2 years after I started doing it, and we went to I think it was IO Theatre in. No, that could be wrong. I can't remember the name of it exactly, but there was an improv theatre in New York that I went to with my friend, and if you're in the audience, you could volunteer to go down, and I wish I had done it, but I completely lost my nerve. So I think
could have gotten on stage in New York City and done improv.
Right?
Yeah.
I could have said I have been on stage in New York. I really wish I had. Well, I may end up doing it again, though I think all those improv theatres are closed now. Though, what was really heartening to me about that was that, like, the New York Improv Theatre was, like, kind of as small and grotty as the theatre that we were working in. And I was like, okay, this is good. This is good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so improv. Everybody, give it a shot.
Did you guys have Whose Line Is It Anyway?
We did.
Okay.
We had a British version of it, okay. But with I think all the same actors that you guys had. So like Ryan Stiles, Colin Mockery.
Yes.
I can't remember the other names of the folks, but
Wayne Brady before he got.
We didn't have Wayne Brady, but I know who he is. Yeah.
He got famous.
Greg Pripps was the other one. You remember? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I know they were in a lot of the US stuff as well.
Yeah. Like that, I'm grateful to that show for making it more mainstream and like showing, like, I don't think people really know what they were watching, True. It was just like imaginative whatever acting or whatever, but
Yeah.
some of the stuff that they would do and like how fast they are, I just don't have that speed of wit, you
Yeah.
know. I've I mean, in all of my improv times, I probably got like where I felt really locked in, like maybe 10 times,
Yeah.
which is
Interesting.
sad.
But like, yeah, but I think you're right. I mean, it's not for everyone, and I think that and I think I've even encountered people who were thought they were hot shit, and I was just, and I felt like they maybe had things that they did well, but it wasn't so much improvisation. They just had like a toolkit that served them rightly. But if you saw them a handful of times, you were like, oh, I've seen this before.
Yep. Same material.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is kind of not the idea of it. It was, I remember like early days seeing comedians and thinking to myself, they do the same thing night after night. That feels wrong. They should be doing new stuff. Like I now understand that's insanity. But I think I kind of took that into my improv in terms of I always wanted to make sure I did something new, even if it would completely fall on its face.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I I'm curious, like, is improv more not acceptable, but like in your country, do people watch improv more or like do they go to the theater more?
Theater more for sure.
Okay.
Improv
Okay.
is not acceptable at all. I mean, whenever I first started working with the group in my own town, excuse me, um, they wanted me. They had asked me in because they knew I had an improv background, and I said, look, I do not think it's going to work here. I don't think there's an audience for it. I don't think there is. I don't know if we would even have people who would be interested in learning it either, particularly here. I mean, possibly, but we don't have a theater or we don't have a theater to perform in really, and also I don't think there. I think you would need more of that culture to really kind of for there to be an appetite for improv. To be honest,
It, it takes a certain type of person.
but I think like generally it does. But I think generally UK wide, we are.
You guys are witty though. So much funnier than we are.
I mean like it depends on the person, but like um I think that the embarrassment threshold, like people are more easily embarrassed in this country as well, so I think taking that swing is a lot harder for a lot of like
Mm.
British people.
Yeah, we're really
uh,
good at embarrassing ourselves here
do you know
and
what I mean?
feeling okay about it.
Exactly. So whereas for most British people that's unthinkable.
Uh-huh.
The very idea of it.
Uh-huh. So, what do you think that you've gotten out of theater improv, theater slash
um
improv?
I think it makes me more confident. I think I'm pretty good at like dealing with a crowd now. You know what I mean? I can talk to a crowd. I can think on my feet in front of a crowd. I am not worried about doing something stupid. So I think it's built my sort of, I mean, not social confidence, but like God, I don't even want to use the word leadership, but you know what I mean. Running things. It's
Hmm.
useful to be um, able to speak confidently and think on your feet. And I think it's been invaluable for that.
Hmm. So
What
people
about you?
think that you know what you're talking about.
Yes, I mean, like, oh, clearly I don't, but I talk a good game.
Right, right, right. I think for me, because I did it so young, I really there are friends that I've made that I've kept my whole life,
That's
um,
great.
and I we have this commonality, which is great. I think that I remember not thinking I was like the best at anything or very good at anything. I was just kind of mediocre at all the things that we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I remember one of the years before, it's probably one of my last years of the theater camp, and we were all sort of like end of the summer, rehearsal for parents. And before that, one of the teachers got up and was like, I just want to recognize a student for being, for always saying yes, for always being here, for always making people feel good about themselves, for always. And I was like, oh my God, it's totally Carly. It's totally Carly. And he said, Beth Martin, I just want to thank
That
you
rules.
for everything that you've done for everyone here. And I was just like, I was so floored. So as a kid, in your teens to get that kind of like recognition, I think that put me in a position where I kind of realized like, oh, you don't need to be the loudest one, you don't need to be the funniest one, you don't need to be, you know, um, the best. You really just have to be yourself, and
Yeah.
you actually can get recognition from that. And that sort of put me on the path of like, don't be like everybody else. Like be
Yeah.
your own, be your own Beth, and the rest will follow. And like I would say, like for the most, like obviously, like I've fallen off that track sometimes, but I think that's really what it did for me.
That's a
Yeah,
great answer. Yeah, I
yeah,
love it. That's yeah, and I think you're so right. I mean, and it's for a start, I think that it's so hard to really objectively think about your own ability to doing anything. I mean, I think we both are like that. I don't know if that's for everybody, but I think that is the case for a lot of people. So but I think in terms of people who say yes, who go along with things, how vital they are for any of this shit happening. Do you know
yes,
what I mean? It's
yes,
huge,
yes,
So that's
yes.
awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, good answer.
Thanks. Is it better than your answer? I think
Yeah,
so.
it kicks my answer's ass. I'm quitting the podcast. I'm so embarrassed by my answer.
You can't quit.
I quit, Beth.
You
I'm
can't
joking.
quit.
I'm joking. I'm
I'll buy you a
joking.
T-shirt.
Yeah, all right, fine. Okay, it must have a turn up on it. Okay. Do we have anything else we want to talk about before we start wrapping things up?
I don't think so. I recommend, like, if anyone has any inkling to be involved in the theater arts, like I highly highly recommend it.
Yeah.
It for me it was life-changing. Um Good confidence builder. You also meet
Yes.
really cool people
Yes.
who are just as weird and awesome as you are, and you just never know where that's going to lead. So
Yeah, I think especially, and I'm just going to co-sign that, but like I think especially if you are uh, I mean, I suppose we all feel like outsiders a wee bit, but if you really do feel like you're on the kind of outside edges, it's a great place to meet like-minded folk.
yep,
So yeah,
yep,
do it,
yep,
do it.
do it.
It'll be,
And then
yeah,
someday maybe you could be on a podcast with Andy.
yeah, maybe. He's shooting for those dreams.
Right. No, he's
But
mine. He's my co-host. Sorry. Find your own.
Fine.
Go to theater.
Yeah.
Find your own.
He gets paid in turnip t-shirts.
That's right. Or just turnips.
Exactly, just turnips. Yeah, I mean, I'll take either. As long as it's in the turnip sphere.
Right.
Right, turnip sphere is good, Beth. We're right. Turnip sphere is where our podcast exists.
There's
right?
a Venn
Yeah.
diagram for that I'll make.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. It's shaped like a turnip. Yeah. The circle shaped like a turnip. Okay. All right. Perfect.
All right. I think it's
okay.
time to dive into your favorite topic.
Dun, dun, dun.
Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
You go first, Beth. So I'm going to ask you, Beth, what's been bringing you joy this week?
It's gonna make you mad.
Uh,
I
okay.
fucking love Peaky Blinders.
Oh, really?
That's
not gonna make me mad.
Love it.
Okay.
So what bar?
maybe-
There's a bar where they made like a Peaky Blinder bar, and people dress up like they're in Peaky Blinder like costumes.
It no longer exists in that form, but yes, they did that. So
It's so freaking cool.
It wasn't cool.
Andy's shaking his head emphatically.
I don't know. It just, and it was I think also because it was a bar that I really liked, and then they kind of really I think it was bought over, and they became that thing, and it was like, oh, but it's now changed, and it's now a decent spot. But yeah, I think I just was mourning the bar that was there.
I get
They
it.
used to do like. You know what I think it was more than anything? It wasn't so much the bars, the food they used to serve. They used to serve like pies that were essentially in a pot, with like a pastry lid over the top, and it would have ridiculous fillings. The one that was, so we have fry ups. You probably know the idea of like what an English or an Irish fry is. I don't think we've got time to get into that. Well, that's a future.
Is it like Is it like a pancake?
It's essentially like sausage, bacon. You also got like a few different types of bread. You've got beans, mushrooms, right? So there was a pan filled with that stuff, or a pot filled with that stuff, and a pastry lid on top, and it was called a fry pie.
Okay.
And it was kind of horrible, but also I kind
we
of
call
miss
it. We call it a pot pie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Pot pie. Yeah, that's yes, exactly. Yes, we don't really call them that, but I'm aware of the term. So yeah, that's my long way around talking about why I'm mad at Peaky Blinders.
It's so good. I can't. It's so good.
It's so good.
It's so good. That's all I'm gonna say.
And like other people whose opinions I trust, like yourself, obviously, who have said it's great, so I need to look into it.
Yeah, and it gives me a lot more respect for, I'm gonna butcher his name, but Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, no, that's good.
As an actor, just the cast is amazing. The story, it's like I care. I'm like, oh, she's back. Are they gonna fall in love? Oh, she's having his baby. Like it's a little soap opera-y, but like
nice.
It's so well done that I'm like, I'm in. I'm like looking forward to like every evening where we watch it. I'm like, can we watch Peaky Blinders again? Yeah. Mike's like, okay. So.
I do need to make an effort. Like, I don't know why, because I don't think it's like set in like or England, isn't it? I think Birmingham or was it Manchester or something like that. But you know what I think? I think because I don't know why I make this connection with it. Do you remember Sons of Anarchy?
Yes.
Did you watch any of it?
No.
Okay, I mean, it wasn't a great show, but like they had, I watched it anyway. It was fine. I thought it found it entertaining enough, and then they had a season where they went to Northern Ireland, and it just made me stop watching that show. It was ridiculous. Their version of Northern Ireland, it's so ridiculous, and it was just the accents were just like claws down a chalkboard,
right. Compared to yours,
compared to my beautiful lilting tones, yeah,
which when I'm captioning, it's so funny. I need to start like a list of what it says. I don't hit them all right, but some of them, like I can understand what you're saying, but
yeah,
the UK caption generator is just like completely. It's
weird.
Yeah, you say pancake and it says zoo. Like it makes no sense at all. It's hilarious.
I've seen.
I think
some
I
of
want
it
pancakes because I keep bringing them up.
I mean, it's just like don't we all? So okay, I still haven't friggin' found an answer for this. I guess. Oh no, I know what it was. I had a. So I have a yoga class on Saturday mornings. I regularly go to. It's one of my good friends teaches it, and we just had like an impromptu sort of like coffee afterwards with and a load of people came, and it was about 8 of us, and it was just nice. I just kind of yoga vibes. It was just a good way experience. It was good to see people. I kind of got a little bit of a job offer there. It was just, and that's neither here nor there. But
it's always nice to. That's always a nice little ego booster when someone's like, "Yeah, do you want to have a job doing this thing?" Yeah.
But I do really like that sort of I don't know. By and large, the yoga folks that I know were good folks, and it was nice to kind of spend some time with them. So it was a good way to kind of kick off my Saturday. So that brought me joy this week.
I like when impromptu like magic happens.
Yes.
When it's like the right people and everybody shows up and like. It's just not planned, but all of a sudden you're just like, oh, this is magical.
Yep.
This is nice.
You're just having fun. You're laughing. You're telling little stories and stuff. Yeah, it was great. It was great. So yeah, it was nice. So that brought me joy recently.
All right, you passed this week.
Yes. We've done it. Yeah. Okay, so we both agree that Beth and I did an excellent job with her joy this week.
We did.
Like that is Beth and I agree that we both did an excellent job. So there's only one thing for us left to do, which is to remind you to, I'm not hydrated enough for this week.
Aha.
Stay bendy. Oh, it's good. Some good resonance this week.
I totally
All right.
cheated and like sucked some in. Okay.
Unbelievable.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Bendy, a Beth and Andy podcast. We love having you here with us each week. Thanks for the comments and feedback. If you haven't already, please follow and subscribe to Bendy on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon, and YouTube. We also have some awesome merch you can purchase on our website at bendypodcast.com. You can listen to all of our episodes and access our YouTube videos at bendypodcast.com as well. Next week, we talk about weirdest workplace stories, where we talk about the best and worst jobs we've had, if we've been fired before, terrible bosses, and giving Timothy Hutton a cold. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us to stay up to date, and thanks so much for being here with us. You always have a friend with Bendy.